Although we've been looking at output data throughout this course, I want to spend a little bit more time looking at specific output data that you get every time you do a simulation. Again, we'll do a simulation. You see the time steps through. First thing that comes up is the animation. This is a belt tension plot from the tail of the conveyor to the head of the conveyor around the drive pulley. The big drop in tension is the TE, effective tension around the drive pulley, and then back the return belt. And right above it we have a velocity plot. So the velocity of the belt at the tail pulley, this would be the velocity at the head pulley, and back the return side. So as we run this, we can see the tensions change, dropping, and we see the velocity changing all along the length of the belt as it goes from full speed to no speed, to zero speed. So you can always rerun this, pause it, start it, rewind, stop it. The tensions up here, the extra plots up here are for specific data at various points along the conveyor. In other words, belt tension versus time. The defaults are the pulley locations, the two drive pulleys in this case, where the backstop's on the drive pulley and the motor's on the drive number one and the take up. But you can plot points at any point. If you come up here to format, plot point selection, you can see all the points, all the elements in the system. There's element here at about every 19 meters. And here's the pulley locations. You can see the check marks beside the drives. We could plot the bend pulley there as well if we'd like to. We can pick extra points. We had a concave curve in this particular example, so we could plot the tensions at the concave curve, and there was also a convex curve somewhere in this profile. So I'll make a label here, convex curve, and hit plot set number one. And you can do 10 points in each one of 3 plot sets. So if I wanted, for instance, to look at the concave curve all by itself on one plot, I could put that by itself on plot set number 2. When I save that file now, you can see the belt tensions are plotted for each of the various points, velocity, and of course drive pulleys, pulley slip, and I'll come back and talk about these. If we hit the expand folder, you can see we also will plot the maximum and minimum belt tensions at each of these points, and then the maximum and minimum belt tensions for the whole carry side and also for the whole return side. Same for velocities for belt speeds. You can get the maximum minimum belt speeds at each point. Power, maximum minimum power, torque, slip ratio, take up, sag. So we can pick these points and change them, pick more than one set, etc., etc. So I'll take these off. If I look here at slip, we'll define belt slip a little bit. This isn't going to be an issue on stopping. It will be an issue on starting. The dotted line, the red dotted line, in this case the red and the blue lines are just on top of each other because they're the same value. But this is the ratio of T1 to T2, tight side to slack side tension to the drive ratio. Any ratio greater than that, there's a potential for drive slip. And as long as your actual T1 and T2 ratio, which is what's plotted here, is less than the dotted line, then you shouldn't have any concern about drive slip. We've talked about take-up travel, displacement, and velocity of the carriage, maximum and minimum values given. And belt sag is simply the percent, the sag between the idlers as a percentage of the idler spacing, which is typical in most best practices for conveyor design. You want to make sure that the belt sag doesn't exceed perhaps 2% or 3% or 4%, whatever your spec may call for. So in this case, none of our belt tensions are getting very low, as we can see here from the analysis. All the belt tensions stay high. We don't have a problem with belt sag anywhere.